Well, Kamran Bokhari is Director of Analytical Development at the Newlines Institute for Strategy and Policy and joins us live now from Washington, D.C. Mr. Bokhari, is this the same old brutal regime that many fear, or a new Taliban, in your opinion?
Ideologically, it is the same old, movement, because what is a movement? At the end of the day, a movement is made up of its people. And in the case of the Taliban, the leadership is trying to be pragmatic. That's not the same as being, different. It's just basically saying the ideology is the same, but we will conduct ourselves in a way so that we don't upset people too much. Now, the problem with that is that maybe the Taliban leadership that's been, visiting different capitals around the world and having meetings with different leaders of the world have somehow learned how to act and be diplomatic. But the bulk of their movement doesn't have that experience. And it is fueled by the same ideology. And honestly, at the end of the day, this isn't a political movement. It's more an insurgency. And so there's not much that you can expect in terms of difference. And that's the dilemma of the Taliban leadership. How do they shape a new political order in which they can appear to the outside world as being substantively different, while they lack the capability to actually do that because of the nature of who they are?
So what do you think that they'll be looking to do next? What is it that the Taliban wants? What is it they're after?
In many ways, I don't think that the Taliban know what they want beyond dominating the country politically, economically, establishing a single group regime with some token elements of other people, so as to not appear like fully Taliban regime or a new version of what they had before. But at the end of the day, they want political economic power in the country. They want to rule it. And if you ask them, what are you going to rule it by? They will tell you, we will implement the Sharia. Well, what does that mean? And they don't have an answer. We'll have an Islamic emirate. But what does that mean in terms of policies that, public policy? How will you run schools? How will you run cities? How will you run an economy? I don't think they have the answers to that.
And what about how the US might negotiate with a Taliban government? Do you think the US will recognize or be forced to recognize the Taliban leadership?
I think recognition means something very specific. Recognition means that it's okay, and we have a relationship that's very formal. I think for a long time, the United States will be dealing with this new political order that is in the making informally through back channel conversations or tactical level negotiations. But I think the United States is going to have two forms of leverage without having an active military presence in the country. The number one is the ability to conduct intelligence operations and airstrikes as and when necessary against terrorist entities that may be making use, that will likely be making use of the new Talibanized atmosphere in the country to pursue their own objectives. So that's one way in which, and that will be, those will be as and when they have intelligence. By and large, I think that the U.S. will try to leverage the basic imperative of the Taliban to have access to international funding. The Taliban resources that they have on their own were only good so as to foment an insurgency and topple the regime. To govern and build a new state, they will be as utterly dependent on external financial assistance as their predecessor was, the old regime, the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. So I think that gives the United States and its international allies a whole lot of leverage with which to try and shape the behavior of the Taliban. And it's going to be a work in progress for many, many years to come.
Yeah, it certainly will. Kamran Bokhari, thanks so much for joining us on the programme.